I can't predict what Putin is going to do. No one has been able to do that. But I've always believed, and I know him, and I know all their people well, know Lavrov and so on. I've always believed that anyone who thinks Putin is a madman and crazy is terribly mistaken. He's not. This is a very clever fellow, and he sees the world not as I see it or we see it, but he sees it a little differently. The last thing in the world, I would think, and I may be wrong on this, is for the Russians to get deeply involved in invading Iraq. And when you say, what if he wins in Syria? What does he win in Syria? What does he win in Syria? He didn't win anything in Syria. My thinking is that what he's doing is positioning Russia with a strong hand to go to a negotiating table. I know because I've been told by people in the middle of all this in Russia, they don't care about Assad. Russia doesn't care about anybody. Putin certainly doesn't care about anybody. So they want a role, and right now the Russians have been for years frozen out of the Middle East with no influence. All the Russians have had is that base at Tartar. There in Latakia along the Mediterranean, and that's important to them to have a Mediterranean base. They don't want to lose that. He believes Russia should be built back into a world power, and he's doing that, by the way, as he's improving his military and doing other things. And they're challenging the United States and NATO countries like no time since the Cold War in all areas. But I don't see what he wins, or I don't see the advantage of if he gets into this deeper and deeper, and especially invading Iraq. I mean, they don't need oil. Russia's the largest energy producer in the world. So, again, I mean, I can't guarantee what he's thinking, but this is a time to be wise in how we deal with this. And if I'm right, that this Middle East problem is not going to get solved, or certainly fixed by the United States or the West, certainly not by Russia, then he is buying off for Russia an immense set of problems. At the same time, oil prices will come back. They're starting to percolate a little bit. Their economy is in recession again. No investment going into Russia. In fact, everything's coming out of Russia. The corruption gets worse. The dictatorship gets worse. I mean, you give me one bright sign for the future of Russia. It ain't there. And so I think we've got to be smart how we deal with Putin on this and how we work it. Remember now, let's just take the geography of Syria. The northern border of Syria is controlled by who? By Jordan, which is an ally of the United States, and Turkey, which is a NATO member. On the east, you've got Iraq, and all Israel on one side, all the way around. And Lebanon is probably as unstable as it's been with Hezbollah, and you mentioned it, and Iran's influence there. So Syria is in serious trouble. I mean, on a good day, Syria is in trouble. Syria has really no resource base, not unlike Jordan, bigger than Jordan, got a little more oil. So I think you've got to factor all these things in when you deal with this, and you just don't want to make the big mistake of getting America back into a Middle East war. Now, I may be wrong. Maybe we should go to war in Syria. But that's where this will go if we're not careful here. No-fly zones will take you right into that. That's my take.